Getting the right car insurance is a bit more involved than finding the lowest price. It's important that you get the right coverage for your situation, and first, you need to understand what's available. There are 5 main categories or types of auto insurance coverage. Let's go through them. Liability coverage is the most common because almost every state requires you to carry some minimum amount in order to drive legally. Liability coverage pays for the damage you cause in an accident when you are at fault. Specifically, liability coverage will pay for bodily injuries and property damage of others. Remember that liability insurance does not cover any of your damages. It protects others from damage you cause and also protects you financially. Without it, you could be on the hook for the entire cost of an accident out of pocket. Collision coverage is the second most common type of car insurance coverage. It will pay for damages to your car from an accident, even if you were at fault. As the name implies, collision coverage pays for damage incurred when you're driving and collide with another object. Note, losses from non-crash stuff like theft or weather damage are not covered by your collision insurance. For those things, you'll need something called comprehensive coverage. Comprehensive coverage kicks in to cover losses that are totally out of your control. Like collision coverage, comprehensive coverage is optional. It will protect you from losses due to fire, vandalism, theft, hitting an animal, or damage caused by certain natural disasters. But comprehensive coverage won't cover everything. For example, most policies will not cover damage due to freezing, even though it's weather-related. Comprehensive coverage usually doesn't cover breakdowns either. You should find out what is excluded before purchasing. Comprehensive coverage is often more attractive to drivers of a new or expensive vehicle. Some lenders may even require comprehensive coverage as a condition of financing your vehicle. To recap, we've gone over liability insurance, which covers damage you do to others, collision insurance, which covers crash-related damages to your car, and comprehensive insurance, which covers certain unpredictable damages to your car. But what about injuries suffered by you or your passengers? If you weren't at fault, the other driver's liability coverage should pay for your damages, but you can purchase your own medical coverage for additional protection. Medical coverage is usually optional, but certain no-fault states will require you to buy a form of it called personal injury protection. Personal injury protection is also known as no-fault insurance because, like medical coverage, it will pay the cost of treating your injuries regardless of who was at fault in an accident. Finally, uninsured or underinsured motorist coverage will protect you against the risk of being hit by an uninsured or underinsured driver. It's estimated that almost 15% of American drivers do not carry the legal minimum amount of car insurance as required by their state. If you are hit by one of these people, you won't be able to collect from a liability policy they don't have. Uninsured motorist coverage will pay for your medical expenses and lost wages. Many states now require uninsured motorist coverage for bodily injury, but you might have the option to purchase it for property damage as well. Underinsured coverage kicks in when you're hit and your damages and expenses exceed the limits of the at-fault driver's liability coverage. When you're shopping for an auto insurance policy, make sure you know exactly what you're getting and why. Find out what is covered, what is excluded, what you need to stay legal, and what you need to stay protected financially.
If you buy car insurance, everybody has to because it's the law. If you're driving a car, you only have to buy $25,000 worth of coverage, which is not very much at all. But you can get away with buying just that much because that's all the law requires. So when you call up Geico or Progressive or one of the other cheap car insurance companies and say, give me the cheapest policy I can possibly get, like they're telling you on their TV ads, you're going to get $25,000 worth of coverage. That's coverage that you're buying for yourself if you hit somebody. It's also coverage if somebody hits you and they don't have enough insurance. So if you buy $25,000, somebody else that hits you has $25,000, Oregon law says you're not going to get anything from your insurance policy. You can add on hundreds of thousands of dollars of coverage that will cover you if somebody hits you and doesn't have enough for pennies a year. It's cheaper than health insurance. I've seen people buy supplemental policies that are expensive and pay $50, $60 a month. You don't have to do that with car insurance. It's cheap to get above that minimum level. So, I tell everybody this, and my friends and neighbors get sick of hearing me say it, but buy as much as you possibly can. If you, God forbid, end up hurting somebody else by not paying attention, you're going to have enough insurance to cover what you did. And if you don't, somebody can come after you for your house or your other assets. So it's a great idea all the way around. It takes out that risk factor of some driver out there that's trying to, scrimp and save that's not bought enough insurance. What I have and what you should have is as much as you can afford on your own insurance policy. So if somebody hits me and really injures me and I have $1 million in coverage because it's cheap once you get up that high. It's really cheap. I think I paid an extra $100 a year bumping up from, whatever I had before, $300,000 or something. So it's really cheap to get that much coverage. The other thing it does, if I hurt somebody out on the street accidentally, it covers what I've done. So it's a great thing to have, and it's not a place to save money. You just need to call up your insurance agent and say, I want as much liability as I can afford, and I recommend $300,000. That will give you protection if you hit somebody and if you get hit by somebody who doesn't have enough insurance. You can't control how stupid people are on the road and when they are careless and negligent and don't pay attention, but you can still protect yourself.
Very cheap auto insurance. Tips that guarantee affordable car insurance rates. There are many things you can do to get very cheap auto insurance. Here are a few of them. Good drivers get a special discount known as the Good Driver Discount. If you have stayed claims-free for more than 3 years, you are entitled to this discount. What if your insurer refuses to give you this discount? Then tell them you will move over to another insurer. Any driver with a history as good as yours shouldn't have any problems getting much lower rates. You are every insurer's dream. The mere threat of leaving should make them shift grounds, but if they don't, look for another insurer. Where you live is also a very important factor that affects your rates. That's why insurers will always ask for your zip code. Accidents are far more likely in densely populated cities than rural areas. The same also applies to things like break-ins and vandalism. Different areas in the same city also have different risks. Car theft rate, especially for your particular vehicle, crash rate, and so on. Therefore, check things like these if you're shopping for a new home. Go for the minimum bodily injury liability coverage stipulated by the law of your state. However, in addition, get an umbrella policy. An umbrella policy gives you far more liability coverage per dollar spent. Far more than even the most extensive liability coverage within an auto insurance policy. The following example will buttress this point. Let's assume that the man of about 35 years who lives in New York City wants to increase his policy's bodily injury liability coverage from $25,000 per injured person in an accident and $50,000 per incident to $100,000 per injured person in an accident and $300,000 per incident. He'll have to spend about $300 extra in premium. But compare this to the fact that he could get a $1 million umbrella policy for less than $300. It gets even better. If he chooses to raise his coverage amount to $2 million in an umbrella policy, he will only pay $75 more. That's $375 only for $2 million worth of liability coverage. See, that's superior coverage for a lot less. That's the advantage of adding an umbrella policy instead. But why should you care about bodily injury liability coverage in an auto insurance policy? People get hurt in accidents, and you will be responsible for the claims awarded against you if you're found to be at fault. Claims awarded could get into the $1 million range and above in certain cases. And did you know that lawyers could go after your assets if you don't have enough liability coverage to take care of claims awarded against you? This means you could easily lose your life savings and even your home if you don't have the right protection. An umbrella policy protects you from such situations. But that's not all about the benefits associated with an umbrella policy. You also get liability coverage that extends beyond automobile-related liability claims. An umbrella policy extends to your home and much more. Belonging to certain professions attracts a discount. An engineer, for example, attracts much lower rates than an attorney. The reason for such a discount is that some professions have been proven to be better risks to insurers. Your agent is in a good position to tell you if your occupation is eligible for certain discounts. Nevertheless, the discount you will be given varies from company to company. Maintaining more than one policy with the same carrier also attracts remarkable savings. All you must do to qualify for this is to purchase your auto insurance policy from the same insurance carrier that is underwriting, say, your home insurance policy. However, take note of the following. Because an insurance provider gave you cheap rates for one policy doesn't mean they will for another. Do some research with quote sites and then discuss with your agents.